Okay, I'm back, y'all. Baby call. But I promised myself I'm going to start my videos differently. So even though this is part 2 to one that has already begun, I'm going in with something that's been helping me to heal.
Everybody says be strong,
Just a little.
but nobody asked how long.
And then we're going to finish up the story and go into part 2.
I learned to wipe my tears before they touch my face.
Y'all feel, baby?
Learn to say I'm fine in every broken place. I hold the house together when the walls start giving in. I carry everybody, then go quiet with my pain. They call me the strong one, like I don't need a hand, like I was born to carry what nobody understands. The strong gets tired too. Strong needs somewhere to fall. Strong can't smile all day, then cry behind the wall. Everybody says be strong, but nobody asks how long.
Nobody asks how long.
Nights can one heart break and still keep holding on. Everybody says don't cry, keep your head up, you'll be fine. But I'm tired of being brave when I'm breaking all the time. Everybody says be strong, but I've been strong too long.
That's from my I'm Not Okay playlist. I've been using those to build me up. And like I said, God sent a lot of direction through other people to me. And I love that. So, anyway, let me go on. That's how Selena and I became best friends. And I ended up in Atlanta. Mom and I clashing heads. Like I said, I just didn't believe in being everything, but I could not be a disciplinarian. Okay, I've been smoking. So I have switched up because, yeah, Love Potion and Green Crack was a little too strong, and I didn't want to start stumbling over my words. I don't know why I think this is going to be even better because this is Panama Red, but here we go. Anyway, I started running away in Atlanta. Messed around and met my son's father at Six Flags. The man never knew how old I was. Like I said, I was 14 when we met. So that means Tracy had to be 20. Had to be 20 when we met. I told him I was 16. I did. I lied. I had developed this thing in the back of my head that I wanted my own baby. If I could do everything I'm doing for them, but can't discipline them, I'm not getting that love back. So I wasn't feeling complete, which is a lot to say for at that age, but that's where my head was. So I felt like if I had my own baby, he would love me unconditionally. And I can give him everything I'm giving these boys and get love in return. I love my brothers. Okay? Still love my brothers. I ain't got but 2 left. And I love my brothers. You hear me? Fought tooth and nail for them. But I wasn't allowed to tell them no. So, came up with the idea of wanting my own baby. Now, here's the problem. Like I said, I promised I'd never lie. Like I said, these videos, hopefully one day my grandchildren or my children will look back on. If you ever have a question about anything, here's your answer. I've never liked sex. Okay, let me fix that. Back then, I wasn't doing anything at all. My curiosities was enough when I can hear it through either some foul language on a comedy show or see it in a movie. So I wasn't doing anything.
I spent years trying to be a man.
But my mama swore I was.
But people
Took me,
never
even
really
got me
know
birth control,
themselves.
everything, and I'm telling her, and the doctor
Years
even
been
told her
back in the shapes
I was
that
untouched.
never designed for myself.
So, and I'll tell y'all why she took me and got birth control. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Somebody else's insecurity.
I used to sit at these apartments. We were on the second floor, and they all had these balconies. I am a animal lover, and everybody that's looking at this that knows me know, yeah. Well, there was a cat every night would come up and hop up there on the balcony with me, and I'll feed her or him. I never even really knew what it was, you know. I'll feed him, and he would sit up there with me in my lap, and I'll just rub him and give him all my problems and talk to him and cry, and he would go away. And every night this was our routine. I guess, I don't know how many weeks or how long it took before I started realizing these bugs on me. Your girl had got crabs. And I had did everything I could, and I had to go to my mama. And I told my mama, it's some kind of bug on me and I can't get this bug off me. She looked at me and she put me in the tub and she tell me I gotta shave everything and I'm probably gonna have to throw everything away. She calling me all kinds of nasty bees, and I knew you was out there effing and da 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 da. So I done shaved, I'm crying. I don't know where I done picked this up, but I know ain't nobody done touched me. She takes me to the doctor. The doctor confirms they were crabs, but he also confirms that I am untouched. My mom did not believe it and asked, how can she get crabs if she's untouched? My mom's a nurse. So the doctor looked right at me. He said, have you been in anybody's home that was unclean? And the first home I'm thinking about is ours. I'm constantly cleaning this house. So I'm like, well, not to the point where I've seen any bugs in our house, no, and I don't really go to other people's houses like that. My best friend Debbie stayed at the top of the hill, house clean. Selena's mama, house clean. So I've never seen these type of critters anywhere. He said, have you been around any stray animals or touched it? And I said, well, there's a cat that comes up on the balcony every night and sits on my lap, and he said, the cat is carrying the crabs from somewhere, either from wherever its initial home is, it's moving. And so by sitting in my lap, I ended up with crabs. But my mama swore I was effing, okay? So like I said, I had birth control, everything. I gave the birth control to my cousin because I wasn't doing nothing. And at this point, I hated the thought and the concept of sex. The one time that I had tried, it hurt. And I'm like, this thing you don't. And I literally told him, I didn't know. But I said, you don't fit. So we not. One supposed to be doing this no way. God said, you ain't supposed to be doing this no way. But I hated sex, y'all. But now I wanted this damn baby. So I'm like, if I gotta have a baby, I don't want to have sex with no boy my age or no little boy, because he don't know what he doing and he ain't gonna do nothing but hurt me, you know. And then when I messed around and met Tracy, I felt like, well, hell, he's closer to grown than my little sectional group. So I felt like he would know what it would take to have intercourse with me without hurting me. I had a Snoopy calendar. My mom was a nurse, so she had nurse books everywhere. So I used the rhythm method. And in case y'all don't know what the rhythm method is, you count your days of ovulation, and so many days from the point of ovulation to Each person's body is different, but so many days from the point of ovulation, from the point of your menstrual, you ovulate so many days there afterwards. And so I tried to zone my day in all the way in because, like I said, I hated sex. I eventually started falling for Tracy. I started falling in love with this man, and then he was my he would take me away every time I call him crying. Mama won't do this. Mama treat me like this. Mama done hit me in my stomach. He would come rescue me. Even after he found out how old I was. Cause baby, if y'all think Pat Evans didn't tell him, oh, she told him. She walked right into that living room. He was sitting on that sofa, grinning. How you doing, Miss Evans? And she walked right up to him and looked him in his face. You do know how old my daughter is, right? She didn't ask him how old he was. This is what she asked. He said, well, yes, ma'am. She told me she was 16. She said, really? Try 14. And you don't have long before I call the police. And turned and walked right out of the room. What made that man come back? I don't know. He said it was something about me. And to this day, we are still very, very, very good friends. But yeah, he was my rescuer. And so, using the rhythm method, time after time, I'm like, please, because I'm not liking this. I didn't, even with Tracy. All that stuff you read about in the novels and the book, the cravings, the desires. First of all, I was too young to have any of those. So, and I didn't. So, to me, it made the act of sexual interaction even worse. So, I didn't like it. But I got my baby. And my mom noticed she hadn't, like most mothers, noticed she hadn't bought me any products. And said, when was the last time you had a menstrual? And I literally had to stop and think about it. I said, I'm not sure. Just like that. I was in there tearing up my auntie's Vienna sausages. She had a pantry shelf, and it had every kind of Vienna sausage there was, from barbecue, all smoked, baby, all over. And my pregnant, but didn't know I was pregnant, and not tearing that shelf up. Mama take me to the doctor. Now, y'all, this ain't how most it's supposed to happen for most folks. She gets me in there, and she told me, she said, you more than likely got a tumor. And I said, a tumor? She said, yeah, it's a tumor. She said, because I know you ain't pregnant. So when the doctor asked me, he said, well, so he done scanned in the belly, and he said, so what do you think is wrong with you? I said, my mama said it's a tumor. He said, look over here. And I looked. He said, well, your tumor has head, arms, legs. He said, you're pregnant. Now, at this point, most young ladies will get a little strike of fear in them, because now you got to go out here and tell your mama that you're pregnant. To me, I felt like I had got the biggest blessing, the biggest birthday gift, the biggest Christmas present. I didn't even know what he was going to look like. I didn't know if it was going to be a he or she. When the doctor said I was pregnant, y'all, could nothing top that sound to me. And it still can't. So, when I walked out there into the lobby, and the mama said, what did the doctor say? And with the biggest damn smile on my face, I looked right at her. I said, I'm pregnant. And she said, ah, damn it, I knew it. So we walked out of there. She talked mad noise about my baby. He was gonna look like a monkey. He was gonna be born with AIDS. She talked mad noise about my baby. But I enjoyed every freaking moment of that pregnancy. She asked me had I felt the baby move yet, and I said, no. What is it gonna feel like? She said it'll feel like butterfly flutters. So I used to lay at night wide awake looking for them flutters, right? I never forget the night. I was laying on an air mattress for some reason. I think we were fixing up my room or something, but for some reason I was on an air mattress. And all of a sudden I felt this like flutter motion in my stomach, and I froze. And from that day forward, I talked to him. I played with him. I would make him move. My son and everything about what happened with him was the best. Yeah, I know I was too young. I'm not encouraging this by any means. My situation is not your situation. I'm not giving you my situation. I don't believe no 14-year-old young lady should be pregnant. But if you found yourself in that situation, I'm here to tell you nothing stops. Ain't nothing gonna end because you got that baby and you 14. What you gonna do is you gonna go get you a job somewhere so you can pay for that daycare. Because more than likely, you're gonna be at home with mama. So be able to pay for that daycare, be able to pay for your diapers and your milk and your clothes. Nothing is gonna stop, baby. Continue going to school. Continue doing you. Show that baby his mama and what he or she is supposed to be doing. Your life does not stop, nor will it end. That, my son, Akeem Jamé Hill, is still the best thing that ever happened to me. Through him, I got my Stacy. I got my Kier. Now, here comes the one that I'm preparing for. The other half of that question was, what was the worst thing to ever happen to me? So, I'm going to tell this story because your pawpaw is going to tell it to you, or he going to insist that I do. I had my son, went back to school. That's where I found Richards Academy. I had my mom put me into the school. I wanted to go there. Had to get in some trouble to go to the school, so I actually got in trouble to go to the school. I went and stole some little fake pearl, cheap gaudy ass little shit. I made sure the little security man was watching me. Dropped this little fake pearl thing into my backpack. And he said, "You looking dead at me. Why you do that?" He said, "You wanted to get caught." And I told him, I said, "Listen, I need to get in trouble. A little trouble. I just didn't want to get in a lot of trouble. I want to go to this school." And he said, "I don't know what I'm going to do with you." He said, okay, so he took me on in, went through the process, went before the judge. Mama told me, "Oh, no, she coming home to raise her baby. She ain't no..." Like I was going to really do some time over some fake jury, and the cop had already told him the situation. And so the judge knew that I basically did this to get myself in trouble to get into the school, and it worked. So he was like, "Okay, well, you ain't got to do no probation or nothing like that. Just promise me that when you get to the school, you will graduate. Since you put in this much effort to get into the school, at least go and graduate." So I didn't get in no trouble behind it. The therapist said that I had 2 personalities, that my mama ran into, trying to get him to say I'm crazy. He gonna say I got split personalities and whatever, child. Anyway, in this school, I met a young man by the name of Michael Nesby. And I really fought him at even dating, because after Tracy and I had got my baby, I really wasn't trying to get with no man. And like I said, I really wasn't trying to get in a relationship because, for one, I didn't want to fully participate. But Michael was insistent. He took me out to the movies, and I told him then I still wasn't, interested in dating at the time. I go home, my girlfriend Tawanda, and at that time her boyfriend Anderson, they all come to me the next day at school and say, hey, that boy threw his class ring off the train track somewhere, mad because you won't talk to him. Okay. I'm that kind of person that if you show me any type of special attention, I get curious. Okay? Because don't nobody show me special attention. So I let him talk me into dating. We started dating. Michael and I dated probably on and off about a couple of years. No, really on for about 2 years. And I called him cheating on his birthday. I went to the school, take him a big box for his birthday. Had bought him a pair of black slacks and these, back then there was these sweaters. Every boy was wearing them. They had multi-colors in them. And it was just the shit to wear these damn sweaters with slacks. Our men dressed back in the day, okay? I had bought him a sweater, some black slacks. In the center of it, put a picture of me and Akeem, my son, and boxed it up, wrapped it in gold paper, and took it to that damn school to give it to him, baby. Proud of my gift. Walked in there, put the gift down, went to look for him because I was going to bring him in the office so that he could open the gift. Walked in there, and he's sitting there just as cool, sitting back, looks up, see me come in, and I said, hey, happy birthday. What we doing? He said, I'm sitting here talking to my girlfriend, Felicia. Just like that, like it was yet. Well, your girl walked in there and I said, okay. I didn't fuss. We didn't argue. I looked right at her. How you doing? And I think my calm kind of fucked with him a little bit. I went in the office. I don't know if he knew then or after I had done it. I opened the box. And the counselor in the office, she said, baby, what you doing? And I opened that box. I didn't say one word. She said, baby, what you doing? She said, don't be like that. Don't be an Indian giver. Come on, baby. I folded the pants and the sweater up, tucked it in my backpack, my picture in my backpack, left that box, that paper, and the wrapping in her office, went and caught the subway, and went home. So I think I finally wore that sweater. To make a long story short, I wore that sweater and we started fighting over the sweater. He would take it, then he would wear it, take it off. I would take it. Then when I wear it again, he would take it back. He had to end up with the sweater because I don't know what the fuck happened with that sweater. Anyway, rebounding off of the relationship with Michael Nesby, I met a gentleman by the name of Keith Boyd. Keith Rashawn Boyd. And yeah, I'm gonna say the whole name because everything I'm about to tell you is factional. It's factional and can be proven because unfortunately half of this is in the health department and on record. So I met this man. Keith I went from grown man to dating someone my age to meeting someone again older. So we clicked. We really clicked, and we got along so good. I met his family, his mom. We were doing really well. He didn't push me on the sex thing, He was very patient taught me a couple of things that he thought might help. It didn't. I just really didn't like it. But anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, well, I took my time this time. Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. So my mom says, hey, we're leaving Atlanta and going back to Texas. I said, I'm not going. I'm gonna find me an apartment. I'm not going. I refuse to go back to Texas because I just thought she would take it and have them call my baby. The end. I wasn't going. So I had got a job. I had been working. Back then, Pizza Hut had restaurants inside. And I have always looked older, young. I've always looked older than my age. So Pizza Hut used to have restaurants, serve beer, everything. Maybe I was doing it all. I was one of the best top employees. They had no clue. I was only freaking 15. So I was working. I was hell bent. I was not going to Texas. So my mom helps me find this apartment. Nice ass apartment. I keep thinking about it too. Ground level, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. I had a living room, kitchen, big spacious kitchen. I loved it. This was a nice apartment. Only problem was it had a sleeper sofa in there that was too heavy for anybody to remove out of there. So it was sitting off to the side. And the lady said, you know, I'll deduct so much out for the rent for her allowing this sofa to remain, or until she can get someone of her own to get it out. So as long as the sofa's in here, we'll deduct her. I think they might have deducted the rent, maybe like $100 something. I don't know. So I'm like, well, cool, long as it ain't got bugs and stuff in it. I said, is it bugs in the, because if it's bugs in the apartment, then you know it's bugs in the furniture. She said, no, this apartment never had problem with roaches or anything like that. You know, we spray, we do all the, everything, you know. So that's a heavy ass thing set off to the side. Keith and I moved in. He moved in with me. And I continued to go to school. I continued to work. And so Keith, because he wasn't working, said he would watch the baby. Give me 1 second. So Keith and I move in. We get comfortable. We got this cute little family life going on. We doing our thing. It wasn't long after this, my best friend at that time, her name was Clarissa Eves. And this young lady, she didn't come from a lot of money. Not to say that I did, but my hand-me-downs was better than her hand-me-downs. Let's put it like that. I did sometimes at least look a little normal, whereas she always looks like some old lady threw some clothes on her. So me and her, you know, got together. I taught her what I knew about hygiene. I taught her what I knew about clothes, which wasn't much because I never got to get into the latest styles because my mom didn't do that stuff for me. So I didn't know anything about fashion and stuff like that. But I told her, you know, how to wear her hair, the best deodorants and stuff to wear. You know, it wasn't nothing we couldn't talk about, right? Well, y'all, here we go. It wasn't long after this, you know, pretty much this girl, I would fight for this girl. I didn't let nobody mess with her, tease her. They would mess with her, say she was musty or whatever, and baby, I was fighting. You didn't get to talk about her. I didn't care. You was not gonna talk about her. My best friend calls me, y'all, and she says, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. What's wrong? Why you sound like you crying? She said, and I'm trying to remember the dude's name, but her boyfriend at the time had given her chlamydia and gonorrhea and syphilis. Or was it just gonorrhea? No, chlamydia and gonorrhea. He had given that to her. She had already been to the doctor. He already told her where it was, that, you know, it's obvious she was not the host of this. Boo, 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 put her on medications. I'm sitting here like, boo, boo, what can I do? You know, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no tokens to come to you right now. How can I help? You know, I'm sorry, you know. And she said, you're not going to be sorry. You're going to be mad. And I said, mad? She said, I need you to listen to me. And I said, okay. She said, Keith watched the baby for you a couple of weeks ago. Y'all went on we had a performance we had to do. And I said, yeah. She said, well, Keith and I had sex that day. I'm like, yeah, right. Y'all had sex? What did he have on? See, I don't like to just judge people and get mad at folks because of things that come out of their mouth. I'm a very thorough person. I'm gonna get my facts together, right? Before just boom, 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 boom. So I said, what did he have on? She described him from head to toe. He had on a yellow sweatshirt, some blue jeans. She said, but when he got down to his underwear, he had on like these stocking, like nylon underwear, because it had a run in them. I said, okay. I said, thank you for telling me. She said, are you mad? I said, I can't say that I'm not. I said, but thank you for telling me. I get off the phone with her and I go straight to him. Oh, she'll lie. Da, 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 da. But what he failed to realize, I done already got the full description of what he wore. And I am the type of woman that if my man is seeing about me, I'm going to see about him. So I washed his clothes. I knew his undergarments. And that very pair of underwear that she was talking about that had a hole in them was one of my favorite pair, because I used to play with the hole on them. Because I'm like, when you gonna get some more? You need to get some more, you know. So he lied to me, right, y'all? It wasn't long after that I get sick. And I thought I was pregnant again. Because I did. Used to get nauseous as hell over the smell of eggs behind my son. So, hold on. Let me stop them from disturbing this. Hold on. Okay. Hubby just came home. He'll probably walk up in here in a minute anyway. So, yeah, I used to play with him, so I knew it was my favorite. So I knew he was lying to me. Get sick. So I ran myself to the clinic thinking I'm pregnant. I don't know if y'all have ever been to the health department or to, like, if you've ever been to a clinic in Atlanta. Let's say if there's anybody in here that's been to any clinics in Atlanta. Baby, these nurses don't play with you. They real people. So the nurse comes to me. Now my little happy-go-lucky ass sitting here waiting on this woman to tell me that I done got pregnant again. But she looks at me and she says, ma'am, how many partners have you had in the last 6 weeks? 1. She said, she writing it down. I mean, but had straight attitude. How many partners have you had in the last 6 months? 1. Again. Hold on. So after she asked me how many partners I've had in 6 months, and I'm looking at this lady, and I said, 1. And she sat back and scooted back like this, and she said, Miss Hill, how many people have you slept with in the last year? I said, ma'am, I've had the same boyfriend for the last 2. Because I think at that point, Keith and I had been together about 2 years. And the lady went to write, and she said, so, she got teary-eyed on me, y'all. She said, baby, I gotta tell you something, and you're not gonna like what I'm gonna tell you. And I said, ma'am, just tell me, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me what I need to do, what's wrong with me. At this time, my diagnosis was trichomonas, or however you say the word. It was the strongest form of chlamydia, basically, and gonorrhea. She said, but we're running another test on you. But right now, I want to get you started on your antibiotics, because we need to see how much of this is in your blood. I mean, they got to work on me, y'all. So now I'm sitting back just rocking. I'm shaking now. I'm cold. I'm nervous. I'm like, wow, okay, so not only did you do this, you brought me something. Oh, wow, okay. So, y'all, I go home behind y'all, I don't know how many shots I got that day. I don't. I was being stuck left to right. I had blood being drawn left to right. I go home, and I'm waiting on Keith to come in. And when he get in there, I'm crying, right? And he said, what's wrong with you? I take my hands like this and pull up the back of my shirt, and he see that I have webs going all down my body, like somebody literally just beat me. Hold on, I need some air. Some walk down memory lane still get me a little hot. So I showed him my back. Oh, Stinker, what happened to your back? That was my nickname. He used to call me back then. I was his Stinker. I don't know what that meant, but anyway, it was cute back then. What happened? So I told him. I said, you happened. And I went back through and I told him, I know you did what she said you did, and now you done gave me bop, 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 boom. That man said, now you need to call your baby daddy. That's who probably gave you that. So here's what I heard. Okay. Y'all heard what I said, but here's what I heard. You living under my roof for free, sleeping in my bed. I'm doing things with you that I don't even like for you because I love you. And did you just call me a hoe? So I went quiet, y'all. And this next part I'm not proud of. I went quiet. And I went to plotting. I got a letter from the Atlanta Health Department. And it kind of kick-started everything that happened after this. It gave me notifications that I had so many hours or days to get to the health department, or they was gonna send the police to come get me. I done cleaned house, looking, dug up change, run down to this health department. The lady sitting back there, and she closed that door and she said, ma'am, we may have to hospitalize you and run a series of tests on you. You have tested positive for syphilis. Now, back then, Everything we knew about syphilis was just absolutely fucking terrible. I'm thinking I'm finna go blind. I'm finna be looking like the leopards on the street with the sores. I'm like, what? So now she was like, and you have, I think at that time it was like 200 and some % of every cell in my body was infected. So they was talking about putting me in the hospital. But they wanted to try a series of medication to see if it would help. And so I had to stay at the health department like all doggone day. Again, being poked and prodded. So y'all, I ain't had nothing but time to think. And when I left there, I had locked in the rest of my life. And I saw it being spent behind bars. So here's what I did. I went home to my apartment. I knew Keith was at work. He worked for Eastern Airlines when there was an Eastern Airlines in Atlanta. And so I knew he was at work. So somehow behind the argument, he had spent the night away from home. So I knew he was going to come home the next day because, for one, he didn't have another clean uniform. And so he never stayed away too long when we argued. So I knew I was going to see him this next day. Okay, so I got up that following morning after spending the whole day at the health department the day prior. I apologized to God because he had gave me the one thing I asked for, and now I'm finna be selfish and do what I was finna do, but I was finna do this. The next phone call I made was to my next door neighbor, Pat. I told her I was gonna be to her in about 15 to 20 minutes. And I asked her, was she busy and if she mind keeping an eye on our king. She said, no, I love my baby. I said, yeah, but it's a situation. Y'all, I packed my baby suitcase and I wrote out on a piece of paper my mom's telephone number, my dad's telephone number, and I think a couple of more numbers to some people just in case they couldn't reach my mom and them. And I folded it up. Every dime of little food stamps I had, I think I folded it up in the letter just in case she had to see about my baby for a day or two before somebody could get to her. She had a daughter, a beautiful daughter, that was my son's playmate, so I knew he was going to be fine. He had somebody to play with. Y'all, my mind was gone. So, his letter for the health department happened to ride in the middle of this. No bull. Mailman came. I had already called. Let me not skip a step. Before I went to this mailbox, I made a call to my friend Clarissa. Like I said, I was silent. She never knew if I was angry. She never knew how I felt or anything, right? I had went quiet. I called her, fake crying like crazy. I need you to come over. I need you. I just found out you was right, but I got syphilis. And she said, I ended up with syphilis too. And I'm like, I need my, and she's like, I'm coming. Part 1, in motion. I cleaned up. My baby's bags was packed. I took him next door to Pat and I told her, I don't care what you do, don't let my baby out of this apartment. And I mean, don't let my baby out of this apartment. And she said, don't do nothing that you can. I said, don't let my baby out of this apartment. I go to the mailbox. There's Keith's letter from the health department that I had, like mine, I had received a couple of days prior saying, hey, you got so many days or hours to get to the health department. Boom, boom, boom. It has been confirmed you are, a carrier or have, blah, 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 blah. So I opened it for him, set it on the chair. Clarissa gets there, and when she comes in, I closed that door, and I literally started whooping that girl's ass. I had her hemmed up in that corner, all the shit I did for you, and all the people I fought for you, and I stood for you, and you could not turn away my man. You supposed to be my friend, and you couldn't say no. And I whooped that girl's ass. Well, while in the midst of whooping on her, the door opens. Keith opens up the door. Clarissa bolts past him and runs off. He comes in. I don't know what the hell going on up in here, but I ain't got time for it. I just got off work and I don't want. And I said, here, you got a letter. He read the letter. I ain't got time for that shit. Chunked the letter. I said, you not gonna go? He said, I ain't got nothing. That letter is not for me. I'm fine. I said, okay. Eastern Airliner workers that did the cones and stuff, they wore jumpers and they zipped all the way up. They was full body jumpers, long sleeves, and they zipped all the way up. Well, he still had his uncles. He just walked in from work. I went into the kitchen and I took out the little yellow and red can of lighter fluid that you put in your lighters. Lifted. I said, are you gonna go get this, take care of this? Like I said. And I just boom, 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 boom. And this dummy sat there. Boom, 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 boom. That's how the can sound. Boom, 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 boom. So all of it on them pants, right? I don't know why you doing that shit. You got to wash my uniform. I gotta have a uniform for tomorrow. I said, are you gonna go get this taken care of? Like I said, fingernail polish now. I just doused it. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you gonna go get this taken care of? And before he can finish the F and the rest of the word, I had one of those red and white clickers because I had a gas stove in that apartment and I was scared as hell of lighting that bitch. So I had a clicker. Before that nigga could say F me, I said click, and them pants went boom. Then the dummy made it worse and he opened the front door. What happens when you add oxygen to fire? That's just, well, the next door neighbor listening at this whole damn thing, the moment he heard the door open, had the door of his open, saw this fool running with fire, come grab the blanket, put him out. We was probably out there about a good 5 to 8 minutes. Ambulance was out there. I'm sitting there. I never left, y'all. I never ran. I had no intentions of it. I wasn't finna make nobody look for me. I wasn't finna be wanted for shit. So police get there, handcuff me. I'm sitting on the step, handcuffed, watching them cut the pants off of him and check his legs. He wasn't burned bad. You know, they was making sure he was okay. He got the jump off. He's standing outside with cut up jumper looking like a Michael Myers reject. Then the cop comes over to me like any cop would. He said, Miss Hill, you want to tell me why you did what you did? And I said, well, he burnt me, so I burned him. He said, oh, I didn't realize you were injured. Where are you hurt at? I said, can you help me up and escort me inside and I'll show you? He said, yes, ma'am. So, because I was handcuffed, he helped me up, walked me inside. I said, can you get that paper right there? So he read the paper and he looked at me. He said, but this says, I said, that one's his. I have an identical one that came a couple of days ago. I've already been. He said, oh. Come on back outside, Miss Sanders. So he took Keith's paper over to him. He said, Mr. Boyd, he had the paper right over him. Do you need an escort? Do you need an escort? I was told you weren't going. Do you need an escort? No, I'm going. He said, yeah, we're gonna see to it. We'll make sure you get there. So this man walked over because Keith wasn't burned. Apparently, it hadn't even got down through the material good yet, so he didn't get singed, and if he did, it didn't kill him anyway. So he walked over and they unhandcuffed me. And so he said, ma'am, he said, you can't do stuff like this. I need you to do better. He said, I understand why you're angry. He said, we're gonna make sure he gets to this clinic, but you can't do stuff like this. Promise me you'll do better. And I said, well, yes, sir. And then I thought about it. I said, well, God got me out of that, because I was supposed to be going to jail. My baby come running and put his hands around my neck. I'm sitting there holding my baby, rocking him on the sidewalk, looking at this nigga, and he standing there. I said, I don't know what you gonna do, but you can't come back this way, dog. Can I get my clothes? Can I get my... So that was the absolute worst thing, and I'm gonna tell you why that made that incident the worst thing. I did clear up, my body healed. I'm no longer a carrier of syphilis. I'm completely fine, except for the fact that I was never, ever able to bear children again. The syphilis gave me endometriosis, which left me scarred, so my tubes was catching my babies. And by the time I met my husband William, and I really wanted to have a baby with him because I knew I had found my soulmate. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to have this man's baby, to have something of us together. Well, that baby tried. It tried, but unfortunately it ruptured on the doctor's in the doctor's exam room. I was actually at a doctor's appointment. My husband said he could feel that something wasn't right, and when he came to pick me up from my appointment and saw the ambulance, he simply followed the ambulance. He don't know how he knew I was in there, but he said he followed the ambulance, and it was me. So I knew then that I was not going to try to have any more children, because I wanted to see my son get married. I wanted to see my son's children. I wanted to see the type of man he was going to become, and I couldn't do that if I was dead. So that, children, is the best and the worst thing. Now you know I got to go out of here with something good. Ooh, I'm going to go out with this song right here, because I've been telling y'all about this young man. Hold on. And this time I was not prepared to go out with him, but we're going to do this one. And I know exactly where it is, so it's not going to be hard to look for, because I have a whole list for you guys. So give me just a second. My bestie, one of my besties, my town, her man loves to refer to her as his titties. And it's cute because that's their thing. So when EJ came out with this song, I told her, I said, he done made a song for you, girl. Tell Mel he done got you a song. So I'm leaving out of here with this. Like I said, Blizzy, send me them favorite strands. Anybody new to the channel, back up to the part 1. This was part 2 to finish it off. But thank you for letting me know that you are watching. But we rolling out of here with EJ Rogers' new song. Give me just a second. Here we go.
Baby, I need him. Pretty nice and know they made for feeding. Send me a vid and play with them. Bounce, bounce, shake with them. Ain't got much ass on you. Let me rub my face in. Baby, bounce them titties. Bounce them, bounce them.
Got them all red.
Bounce, bounce them titties. Bounce them, bounce them. Oh, it's
I'm
bounce
losing mine. Oh, because I'm losing weight.
Bounce, bounce them titties. Bounce them, bounce them, bounce them titties, baby. Lady milk make the bones stronger. Save the world from hunger. If them titties drop when that bra come off and they hit your stomach. See, Triple D, I want you. She sent me attachment. Invisible ink is like a scratch off. Third one this week. Birthmark and tatted up, baby. I'm loving your titty meat. Looking like a chocolate pancake. If she light skin, they look like pears. Hershey kiss for the nipple.
I hope to be able to catch one of his comedian shows one day.
Because
he does his songs.
Baby, I need him. I need
He
him.
does his songs,
Pretty
y'all.
nice and
So
all they made for
I'm
free.
looking out for him to come to Fort Worth.
Play with 'em. Bounce, bounce, shake with 'em. Ain't got much ass on you. Let me rub my face in 'em. Baby, bounce them titties. Bounce, 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 bounce. Bounce, bounce them titties. Bounce, bounce. Oh, it's about them titties. Bounce, 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 bounce. Bounce, bounce them titties. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Them titties, baby. Ain't got 2 chains. I'm a titty boy. Top off cutter for a city boy. Baby, I kick some cancer ass if they ever try to get rid of my titty toy. Titties remind me of Cardi's. Big titties like Takara. Ain't got no pillows to sleep on. Can I borrow your titties till tomorrow? If you got an A cup, you probably need to go under construction. From every man that love a good tit, baby, don't never get a breast reduction. We love them titties, them big old breasts, baby, I need them, pretty nice and know they made for feeding, Send me a vid and play with them. Bounce, bounce,
Y'all know what's
shake.
crazy?
Ain't got much ass
Not
on
one
you.
boyfriend, not even my first husband ever saw me with some. Only somebody to see me with some real. It's my current husband.
It's about them titties.
I didn't have none. That girl sitting on them double D's.
Them titties, baby.
Nobody ever saw me with that. I miss y'all too. I'm out.